So, oftentimes you hear people speak about the concept of work life balance or, free time or these sorts of things. And while these things are nice, and I do think you should have time in your day that's enjoyable, I do think a lot of your day should be enjoyable. I think our concept of enjoyment a lot of the time and what free time should be is wrong. At least if we have big goals that we're trying to achieve in life. Now, everyone has goals in their mind, but I've made posts about this. Very few people actually strive to achieve these goals. Very few people prove that these goals are actually in their mind. They do a lot of talking. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be rich. I want to be a millionaire. I want to have a Ferrari. But then, how much work do they actually put towards it? They get home from school or from their job, and what are they doing? Watching TV, playing video games, potentially something worse. I don't know what people do, right? But I know what I used to do, and a lot of it was video games, TV, YouTube, Netflix, whatever. Anything that's really not productive, you could put in that box, and it's the same concept. And a lot of people will say, well, I do have goals, but I can only work so hard because I'm burnt out and I need a work life balance. And to that, I say, look at any successful person, like really successful. What was their work life balance like? Did they spend time sitting on their ass? Like, Kobe comes to mind, for example, right? Everyone always talks about how hard Kobe used to work, right? Now, I don't recall any particular stories, but I remember reading a few about how he was in the gym hours before all of his teammates and hours after them all, right? And this is pretty common with a lot of not even just basketball players, successful athletes. A lot of people will say, same thing with the gym. Oh, I can only train so much because that's overtraining. Well, is it? Or are you just not resting enough? Or are you really not pushing yourself hard enough? Take that same concept with athleticism and apply it to the rest of your life. The most successful people are the ones starting earlier and finishing later than everybody else. They're the ones working around the clock with no work life balance. So, I'm not saying it's bad if you want to have a work life balance, but what I am saying is be realistic. If you want to have a work life balance in the sense of, I want to come home and I want to watch TV and play video games, don't expect to be successful the way that the guy who comes home and continues to work and to grind is, right? That guy's going to win. That guy's going to be more successful than pretty much anyone who doesn't do that. So that's what I wanted to say in this video. The title's kind of clickbait a little bit. Work-life balance is bullshit, or whatever I called it. But it is, in a sense, because if you're saying, I'm going to be a rock star, or I'm going to be, I'm going to be a billionaire, but you're coming home and you're watching Netflix, are you? Because there can only be so many billionaires. There can only be so many rock stars. You can only reach that spot. You can only get to that top level if you're beating other people. And everyone likes to say, oh no, but it's not a competition. It's me against me, best version of myself. And those things are good. That's definitely a good starting point. But after a while, I don't know, at least for me, I got dissatisfied with that. I started thinking, no, it absolutely is a competition because the more people I pass in a certain area, the larger the rewards are. It's like the most popular artists on the planet, for example, like musicians, make 99% of the money from music. There's a tier down of like underground artists that make some money. But think about it. Think about an artist with a couple 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and a niche, small core fan base versus like Playboi Carti, right? Who has 50 something million last I checked. Think about how much money he's making just on streaming royalties. Everyone complains that royalties don't pay enough. I'm a music producer, I know this. And they don't unless you're at the top, then they pay pretty damn good. But again, to get to that top level, Playboi Carti and other artists of that size had to beat other artists out to get to that spot. Because if every artist had that many listeners, Spotify wouldn't be able to pay the same amount to all of them. Somebody has to win. That's the point of this video, right? This is why I reject the idea of work-life balance in a lot of, in the traditional sense. And I opt for something that people have called the imbalance method. Whenever I'm being successful at anything, whenever I'm really making strides in something, be it music, fitness, mental health, whatever area of my life I'm focused on improving at that point, it always comes from imbalance. It never comes from, okay, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna relax and I'm gonna take my time to watch some TV and then maybe I'll go work out again. No. It always comes from doing the extreme because most other people aren't willing to do that. And again, something with fitness, a lot of people might say, yeah, but just be the best version of yourself. Don't compare yourself because steroids and genetics and Once you cut out social media, which is bad for your brain anyways, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to fitness influencers. Once you cut that out for the most part, apart from educational content like this, or at least pseudo-educational, I'm not claiming to be some all-knowing source, but let's be honest, watching this is better than watching a TikTok of somebody doing a stupid dance or a meme, right? It's more informational, you're learning more. Once you cut these unhealthy things out, these easy dopamines, these easy sources of instant gratification, you really just, what's the word? You change the way you think, really. It stops being, oh, I'll never be that good, so I'm just gonna want to be the best version of myself. No. Once I stopped consuming all of this honestly garbage content of videos of some guy lifting and then it's like, and then it's like some meme plastered over it. Like, that's fine. I'm not insulting the people who make that content, but it's not good for your brain, objectively, right? It's not good for your brain. The people who make this content know that. Once I stopped consuming it, I started to think differently because I wasn't looking at these fitness influencers like, oh my God, he's so big. I'll never be that big. I'll just be the best version of myself because social media and steroids. When you start looking around at the other people around you in the gym, especially if you're like me at a university gym where a lot of guys are my age and haven't been lifting as long as me, the sense of competition in you really starts to get hiked up. Now, do you have to be a competitive person? Do you have to be like, I'm going to beat other people? You don't have to say that outwardly. I typically don't. I'm only really saying it for this video, but that's a lot of my internal drive right there. It's competition. It's wanting to be better, right? Yeah, I do want to be better than my previous self, sure, but I do want to also be better than other people because that's where the rewards come from. Think about it. If you work a job, you want to get a promotion, you're up for that promotion against 6 other people. You got to be better. You got to compete. You got to be better at your job. Otherwise, you're not getting that promotion. And this goes back to what I was saying before. Take a guy who has a work-life balance where he works 8 hours and relaxes for 4 hours, or a guy who works 11 hours and then that 1 hour he spends relaxing is another hour in bed because he needs that recovery to make his brain work better, or it's an hour spent reading a book about the thing he's trying to be better at. Who's going to win? Just on the first day alone, the 11-hour guy is going to get more results. This isn't me saying work an extra 20 minutes because over a week that'll build up into a few hours. No. Work as much as you can if you really have a goal, if you really have a desire to win at something. And not everyone's going to have this. If everyone did, maybe the world would be a more productive place. I don't know. I don't know if we're all wired to have this, but I don't like to think of it that way either. I don't know. I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, but I know what I think. And ever since I started thinking this way, life has just become so much more fun because I'm making insane progress. I just said, screw work-life balance. Screw any of that stuff. Just work as hard as possible, as much as possible, while still keeping your health in mind. I'm not saying wake up at 4 and go to bed at 2 because then you're not going to be able to work anyways. But just cutting out all the unnecessary, honestly, bullshit that you don't need. Because that's what a lot of this work-life balance is. You don't need it. You're not going to die if you don't watch 2 hours of Netflix today. You're not going to die if you don't spend an hour scrolling on TikTok, which is more like 8 hours for some people. I can't understand that. That's insane. Even when I was at my worst, I never used social media that much. That I can't understand. But I'm not judging. I understand being addicted to things. I was very addicted to video games. So if you're struggling with that, very much hope you can get out of that hole. Improving your mental health is a way to go for that. Meditation, gratitude. Definitely get into those. I've got some other videos about them. You can check my channel. But I digress. If you want to win, adopt the imbalance method. Adopt doing more than everybody else. because, yeah, you might say, oh, that guy had a better starting point because his genetics are better for adding muscles. Work out 2 times a day if he works out once a day. Do more. Over time, you're going to win, right? That old saying, hard work beats talent. That's exactly what I'm saying right here. Everyone likes to say that. Everyone likes to say, oh, hard work beats talent. You're not born with it. You got to work hard. Working hard is good. But then when I say, okay, I actually am working hard beyond just what the normal work day is, people are like, oh, that's too much work. You're going to burn out. I've been overworking for the better part of 3 years. And did I burn out a couple of times when my mindset was weaker and I still believed in burnout? Yeah, but now I don't believe in it. Because at the end of the day, emotions are just emotions. They're not telling you something absolute. If you feel tired and you need to go to sleep because you work too much, go to sleep. That doesn't mean you're burnt out. That means you're done for the day. Wake up again tomorrow and do it, right? If you feel so bad that you can't work, like if you feel so bad mentally that you can't work, I still don't think that's burnout. I think this is, and even if that is, I still don't think it's something we should accept because it can be fixed. I haven't experienced burnout in over a year and a half when I used to experience it all the time because my life is happier. I spend more time with my family. I'm more social. I spend more time being grateful, meditating, exploring my mind through journaling, etc. I don't burn out anymore. It's just not something that I do because I'm not sad. I'm not beat down to the point where I feel like I can't work anymore. And to the people who are going to think, well, you haven't experienced anything real, any real tragedy, somebody might go type that in the comments. That's fine. I've had losses in my family in the last few years. Even during those times, I wasn't burnt out, as sad as I was, because otherwise my brain knew, listen, that sucks that that person's gone, but you've got a job to do. You've got a mission to finish. Now, I'm not saying I've been this super disciplined, Kobe-like entity, or Michael Jordan-esque figure who's always working, who's always like, yeah, 16 hours a day, super disciplined. No, I've fallen off of that for sure. There's been times where I've gotten lazy or I've been working on the wrong thing because if I feel like doing something else. But I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm saying you should reframe your mind to think, screw work-life balance because that's not what's going to get me to the point I want to be at. If you're already at the point you want to be at and you're not striving to be a millionaire or striving to be, as fit as possible, you just want to be like a good level, you can definitely get there with discipline and work-life balance if you're very disciplined in your work period. Don't get me wrong. This is a video for the people who really want to take it to the next level, like myself. And it might piss some people off. It might piss some people off in the comments to say, oh, but I have work-life balance and I make this much money. It's like, yeah, okay, cool, but you could be making more money if you didn't, right? If you didn't go watch those 2 hours of TV every night, you could probably be making more money or you could be in better shape, I hear this all the time. I'm old, when you're working full-time, you don't have time to work out. I worked full-time last summer doing physical labor and I made time to work out at night. Did I have less time? Sure, but what was I doing outside of work and working out? I was making at least one beat every day and a YouTube short every day to post to my YouTube channel. That in itself took me 3 to 4 hours, plus a half-hour workout, plus a 9-hour workday, plus a commute, plus eating, all that sort of stuff. Like, I made time for these things, and I still meditated, and I still journaled. Was I sleep deprived as hell? Yes. Did I make a lot of progress that summer? Kind of. But that's the reason why I'm not working a formal job this summer, because I'm trying to go all in with the imbalance method, and I have. Every day I wake up and I immediately start working. I don't do anything. I walk downstairs and I work. That's it. Never seen better results. This summer, my Spotify, I have a Spotify as a producer, which is kind of rare. A lot of them just sit in the background, but I made one. We put out one album that I produced 6 songs on. I got put as main artist on them. I went from 20 monthly listeners to 16,500 in 1 month. If that's not telling of how powerful the imbalance method is, of how powerful going all in and just working your ass off is, I don't know what's going to convince you. Now you might say, oh, well, that was luck, it's not going to go down, whatever. Maybe it does. But what's true is that I've never made this many good beats in 1 month. I've never been this good at mixing, mastering, etc. And I've still made time to work out a shit ton. I've never looked this good. I've never been this low in body fat percentage. I've never been this strict with my diet. I'm literally on the carnivore diet as I'm recording this. Apart from 2 cheat days a month, maybe 3, I don't eat anything other than meat, eggs, and maybe dairy sometimes as a treat, because yogurt has carbs and I don't like to have that many carbs because I stay in ketosis when I do this. A lot of people will call me crazy, but again, the imbalance method, it applies to every aspect of your life. So if you want to have a work-life balance, I'm not telling you not to. I'm telling you what I'm doing, and I'm telling you what all the successful people that we all look up to are doing and have done to get to where they are. They might tell you now, oh yeah, work-life balance is important. I don't work that much. To get to the point where you could run a multi-million-dollar company on a couple hours of work a week, you needed to work your ass off before you could start outsourcing all the little jobs to other people. You needed to do all those jobs at first. These people all know that. They say this, they tell you there's such thing as a work-life balance for those types of people because they want you to stay lower than them. That's why they tell you this. I honestly think either A, they've forgotten, or B, it's more malicious and they want to keep you down. These successful people who are saying, no, you need a work-life balance. It's okay to watch TV. It is okay. It's not a crime to watch TV, but shit, if you want to be as successful as them, they sure as shit weren't watching TV. And they're already at the point where you want to be. So you got some catching up to do. You know, like a guy like David Goggins will never tell you, oh, it's okay, sit down and watch some TV at the end of the day, work-life balance. That guy came from nothing and made himself into something amazing. He's a legend, that guy, right? So, want to be like those people? You got to adopt their way of being. Otherwise, you're just going to stay where you are. So, this isn't meant to be an insulting video. This is just a mindset video, and this is honestly the mindset that has gotten me to where I am, which at the moment I'll say isn't very far. But compared to where I used to be, at the bottom, basically with nothing, no career aspirations, 30-something% body fat, 240 pounds, not that strong, felt like shit mentally, not that many friends, no women in my life, all those sort of things. All that has pretty much been reversed. I make money, at least, online now. It's not much, I'll be honest. It's between $500 to $1,000 a month at the moment. But I wasn't making anything before, Is it more hours than a part-time job? Sure, but it's scaling up. A few months ago, it wasn't that. Now it's become consistently this much. That's through the imbalance method. You need to pick one thing at a time, cut out all the distractions, and work at it. This can even go for other productive things. I've reduced the amount of time I meditate. I've reduced the amount of time I work out to focus on music, and I've seen the best results at it. If you want my best advice for really improving fast at something, pick one thing, eliminate as much as possible of everything else, only to the level to maintain these other things, right? So like, let's say you worked out 6 times a week before to build a lot of muscle. Cut it down to 6 shorter workouts or 4 workouts a week or something, and just do what you need to maintain. And just work on the one goal that you have that doesn't relate to it, right? Take that mindset of maintenance for all the other things that you do that you're pursuing and put all that extra energy into the main thing, because I'm telling you, it compounds. Add an extra 2 hours onto one thing a day, add as much time as possible. Let's just say it's 2 hours. And over the long term, that thing will just go up. So I hope this helps. It's kind of a ranty video, but this is the way I think. So I've let pretty much all of you into my mindset now. I've let you into, my brain in this sort of sense. So hope this mindset helps you out. If you like what you heard, then we're like-minded. We should be friends. DM me on Instagram. If you don't like what you heard and you want to argue with me, I'm open to that too. I always like hearing the other side. But if you've made it this far in the video, you've got a better attention span than most people. This has been half an hour almost, I think. So congratulations that you got a great attention span. And thanks for watching.